Welcome back to the devlog series on my dice deck building roguelike game being made for the Playdate. There's a bunch of things to cover ranging from battle status systems to procedural map generation, so let's get right into it. First things first, I gave the enemies the ability to defend as one of their actions, which I just somehow totally forgot about. Similarly to the player, when defending, a shield will pop up in front of the enemy with the current amount on it. I'm still unsure whether the enemy's shield should be removed each turn though, so that's something I'm going to have to iron out during playtesting. Being able to attack and defend is nice, but if every enemy has only those two actions, that can get stale fast. So to counteract that, I'm adding in status effects. These varied effects can really alter the flow of battle, and make enemies feel a lot different from one another. If we take a look at the current battle scene, you may notice some things are shifted around a little bit, and that's to make room for the current status information in the bottom right. When an enemy intends to inflict a status, it will display that intent with a unique icon, and when inflicted, that status will show up in that newly opened up space along with the number for the amount of turns it's going to remain active. Examples of these status effects are poison, which deals damage at the start of each turn based on the turns left in the effect, or a heal blocker that stops the player from using any heal actions until the effect wears off. That final system wraps up the main things that are needed for battles, so now I can move on to the next most important system, map generation. The major consistency between almost all roguelike games is a procedural map, and there's a bunch of ways to do that, but I'm again looking for inspiration from Wild Frost on how I want mine to work. Instead of having a bunch of different paths to choose from, my map will be fairly linear. When creating the map, there will be a set number of battles that the player will have to beat in order to reach the boss of each area. After each of the required battles, you have the option between two paths, each with 2 extra events. These can be extra battles you can fight to earn more gold, a chest with new dice, a campfire to rest and regain health, or a shop to spend your hard-earned gold at. These options will funnel right back into the required battles, and you'll repeat the process until you reach the final boss battle for the area. That's the basic map layout created, but how are the specific events chosen? Because we want each run to be random and unique, but we don't want it to be completely random, or else you may get something like a shop for the first option before the player has really had any chance to earn any gold. To solve this problem, I have a JSON file that holds a bunch of hand-picked options for the event combinations, for each depth into the map. Each event has a number associated with it, so I can just have a couple of arrays of numbers to handle it. When creating each node, the map generator will look at all the entries for the current depth and pick a random one. Now the map is technically created, but it does look pretty boring, so I found an old map texture and outlined that to create a background, made custom icons for each event so far, offset each node slightly to create some variance, and added a couple of decorations in the empty spaces to finish it off. Now that I finally have something other than battle scenes in place, I grabbed the scene manager code from my other game Reflector in order to handle switching scenes. I wanted to make a unique transition when swapping scenes, so I actually created a simple animation in DaVinci Resolve, imported that into Sprite, scaled it down to the Playdate's resolution, and exported that as a sprite sheet. Looking at it in-game, I'm happy with how it turned out, and it was pretty easy to make, so I may make some more custom transitions in the future. Now with the map generating and battles in place, I have to get the rest of the current events working. The campfire event will just heal you for 20% of your total health. There's no art for it yet, but it works fine for now. For the chest event, you'll get the option to choose between one of 3 dice that you can add to your pool, or you could choose not to add one at all. On the right, you'll get to see the dice layout just to make sure you know what you're getting. Finally, we have the shop event. When designing this one, I was struggling to come up with a good character to run the shop. I've been playing a bunch of Tears of the Kingdom lately, and there's a recurring character that shows up in the Legend of Zelda series, which is the eccentric shop owner Beetle. So I thought, why not make my shop owner an actual beetle as a little homage to the character? So meet Herc, the Hercules beetle traveling salesman who will offer you 4 different dice you can buy. In the future, I think he'll have some extra things to sell too, but he's sticking a dice for right now. I made the shop, but then I just realized I was never giving the player any currency for completing the battles, so they had nothing to spend. So I made a little victory text animation and made sure to show how much gold you get for completing the battle. That about wraps up the work I've done so far, and it's getting close to having a fully playable first area, but I still have to add in a bunch of extra enemies, dice, and do a bunch of balancing. Hopefully the next time you see an update on the project, there should be a demo available of the first area just to get some initial feedback. Stay tuned for more information on that one, and thanks for watching.